We should be live by now. Yo, we're live. Let's go. Disaster. Let me tweet out that we're live. Because the time zone is genuinely a disaster for me. Uh, we are live. Come jump. Join us. There you go. So, Nate, you're fired.
Allegedly.
I told you last night, hit me up when you wanna play Borderlands.
Bro, you was asleep when we started
What
playing
time?
Borderlands.
What time did you guys start playing then?
It wasn't until like 11:30 p.m.
So 11:30 p.m. Right now, what
my
time is it
time.
for you?
Right now for me it is 3:13 p.m.
Okay, so it's 11. So right now it's 3:11. 7 hours from now, around 8 hours from now. So I literally went to sleep and you literally started playing basically.
It's not my fault. We were
Nah,
waiting.
you
We were
genuinely
waiting.
timed it. You
We were
genuinely timed
waiting.
it.
I was waiting for Priscilla to get out of the gym, and
Okay.
that's what took so long. Because she was only supposed to take an hour in the gym,
Mm,
and she spent like 2.5 to 3 hours in the gym instead.
mm. So, it's not you, we need to blame Priscilla then. Or basically
Yep.
both of you, in a way. Well, no, you
I
were not.
mean,
Okay. Yeah, no, then Priscilla is fired like that. Not joking. No, for real,
easy.
but no, I said I'm joking.
No, no,
I
I meant it sounded like you fell or something.
So Borderlands, or rather Tiny Tina Wonderlands. I'm loving this game, and I just played until me getting the sword, and that's it. But I'm loving the damn game by a lot.
Same.
I don't think Weeb you started the game, right?
Me?
Yeah, you don't fuck with Borderlands, right?
Nope.
That's all. And you go to Michelle. I've seen your gameplay on the channel.
Yeah,
Just
I'm Gran Turismo still in Returnal, which
just
I'm loving.
one or two tips. One, less speed, more focus. You get way for because you're missing out a lot of secrets that could help you. Weapons upgrade, weapons and stuff like that. And
Oh
other than
what?
that,
Oh, no, no, I know. I was just that was just when I wanted to experience to see what the co-op was
mm,
or the what the tower was. Trust me, I already know what time it is on Returnal, but I was
yeah.
just wanting to see and just do a live broadcast, so just
hmm
to see what it was about.
As
But
for me and
yeah,
the
I know all the
channel, I already finished the DLC. It's not long.
nice.
It's not long. It genuinely is not. And the introduction of the one-use weapon, I find it almost like cheat code in a way. Cause
Hmm.
all you need is a key, and if you do your homework well, you always have key with you. And that, and if you're lucky and you get the best weapon, you're literally one-shotting one boss, a boss face in a second. I literally one-shotted a boss in 3 seconds. Or 10 seconds, or 7 seconds. I have it on video. I wish they introduce us into a weapon that we need to upgrade by playing the tower. That would have been
Yeah.
way more enjoyable than giving us these weapons that are practically pointless in a way. Or you use them one time and it's over. Other than that, I love Returnal. Come on, it's Returnal. I truly wish they would give you separate save file for tower mode and co-op mode. Cause if I wanna co-op with you, I don't need to suspend my run in the tower.
Right.
That's it's such a shame because the game is again amazing. Other than that, yeah, no. Intros. Nate, what you been playing?
Right now, you know, Innate or AKA the real Innate. I've been playing still Gran Turismo 7. Um, Obviously, we started Wonderlands, which has been a lot of fun. And I'm also finishing up Super Robot Wars 30. So that's been a lot of fun because I was looking forward to that game for a really long time. So
You still
I'm
with
excited
that
to get
game?
that done. Yep. I mean, that's what happens when Horizon comes out and you immediately
Oh,
play it to platinum.
oh, hold on.
Yeah.
The current bit speed is lower. So how do I fix that?
I mean, I think that was just your internet in general because when you first
So
got on,
but how can I control that or can't?
you can't.
Okay, because okay, let's hope it works fine then. And you forgot Tiny Tina Wonderland, eh?
No, I said I started that.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay, gotcha. And Ghost.
Ghost from Shell 55, with Ghost in the Garage Gaming. Right now, I'm playing Gran Turismo, and of course a little bit of Returnal. And at some point in time tonight, I'm going to get into Ghostwire Tokyo to see what it's all about and play the new game. But right now, just mainly focusing on Gran Turismo.
I don't. I love Ghostwire Tokyo, but it's an open world game, so prepare yourself.
Okay.
And Weeb.
Oh, well, what haven't I been playing? Sweep Sheriff, aka Blue Rhizome. Yeah, I platted Voice of Cards, the Forsaken Maiden. Highly recommend it if you're into traditional turn-based RPGs, and if you like the first game, of which this is a prequel. I briefly played Anno Mutantonium, if I pronounce it right, which actually is quite an intriguing game. It's sort of a mix, or it basically is like a pixel art characters in a sort of 3D world and with a cyberpunk setting. It's kind of RPG with hack and slash type combat. Liked what I've seen, but I've switched to other games in the meantime. Played a little bit of Solar Ash and of course the new Kirby game, which is pretty good. So if you want to get that Switch, Omar, I recommend getting it.
I'm waiting
And
on what's his name, Ghost to send me his. He said he's gonna do so because
Yes,
his is
sir.
collecting dust, so I might as well use it.
Yep. Right as we
Continue.
speak, too.
I mean, where'd your Europe go? So maybe you can drop it by when you go back home.
I will actually
Yeah,
be
he's
in the
always
Netherlands
flying,
in
so he
2 weeks.
might as well come visit. He can go. He can have some cookie and he can meet Lucy. Win-win.
Nice. It's a win-win.
Uh,
I'm in the I'm in the championship race right now. I'm concentrating.
No, it's okay. You do you. Kirby is a must-play game if you're a fan of, uh, yeah, platforming and stuff like that. Like
oh yeah,
two, two
it's
games
lots of
I
fun,
would
man.
get Kirby and what's called Astral Chain. These are two games I really want to play. Oh yeah, and aside from the JRPG one that I wanna try out, but yeah, me
Yeah,
and
and
my
and
yeah.
aside from that, I'm also playing Ghostwire at the
Hmm.
moment,
How far are
which
you?
is actually chapter two. I only got it today, so I haven't progressed that far yet. But I'm
No,
liking what I'm seeing so far, so definitely an underrated game in my opinion.
it's unique, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
It's this the way this game got reviewed. It truly feels like Kojima was right when he said American people only love shooters or FPS in general.
I
Cause
mean, you can't really say that because Elden Ring reviewed off the chart,
Elden Ring is
but it's not neither one of those.
no, but Elden Ring is literally the media darling right now. If you look at Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, even Bloodborne, none of them was media darling like that.
Oh, they were. I mean, FromSoft always is the media darling.
Not to such level. Like,
You
nah,
know,
Elden Ring is in a whole different
what
ball
the
game.
difference is? You know what the difference is? The media loves open world games, right? Same thing happened with Zelda. As soon as they went open world, they decided it was the best Zelda ever,
So
even though
why
it
did
has
they
nothing.
not love Horizon Forbidden West?
Because they love the shit on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call it like it is.
Yeah,
Like there ain't nothing else to really say about that. PlayStation is graded on a different scale, period, and they gotta be, 5 steps ahead of the best, or they ain't shit. That's just how it is.
yeah.
Sounds reality.
Yep.
We're missing the two ladies. Morgan is gonna either be late or not be able to make it, and Kay is gonna be late. Um, with and Rick can't join.
All good.
And with that being said, let us jump into the first topic. So, okay, so Nate, is there a way to show my screen on Discord? Not Discord. Oh yeah, on Discord or what's or just on the video. I wanna showcase my screen. My screen.
I mean,
Uh,
I wouldn't do it because last time you tried to do it or something like it, the bandwidth
okay.
requirement was too high.
Okay. So I'm just gonna use it then from my phone and read it verbatim because I want to show it screen, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
fine.
working. Luckily, I got it bookmarked. So a dude uh, by the name of Jeff Canetta. Never heard of him. He is a gamer. Okay. He said a tweet. He put us a tweet. I know Elden Ring and all that, but it truly breaks my heart more people aren't talking about Forbidden West. It's utterly superb on every level. So you have Cage jump in and said agreed, Horizon Forbidden West is superb. I'm still playing and talking about it. And then you had one dude say this. Lol, imagine wishing a great game, got less attention. So this is coming from a dude by the name of Seth Shizzle. Who is Chef Shizzle nowadays? Well, he is the director of executive communications at Xbox, former New York Times and Protocol, co-founder of Fans Belong Here. And you belong at school, my dude. If
Mm-hmm.
you are literally the co-founder of no, if you are literally the director of executive communication at Xbox and you can't comprehend basic English, we have a problem. Or rather, Xbox have a problem. Am I missing something here?
I mean, we've all known the Expo's got a problem. No game.
No, but real. Did he anyone anywhere insinuate that people should play less Elden Ring?
I think it kind of plays into the whole, thing about the media and media in
But
general.
But Elden Ring is not even it's Xbox exclusive. What are we doing here?
I mean, but what's in the Microsoft echo chamber right now? I mean, these guys are over there championing, Elden Ring, and I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's not my game, but I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything like that. But they're all championing it as it's like the best game ever, and because it got a higher Metacritic and a higher review scores than, or excuse me, Horizon. That's the reason why it's. I mean, it's their game, I guess, and so he's
But
right
and
along in the Microsoft echo chamber.
how dry must you be to to use multiplat for console war while you are literally the executive director at Xbox? You know, the same Xbox where Phil Spencer came out and he said he hates console war. Like, I swear, I feel like I'm living in an alternative reality.
I mean, you are. I mean, we all are. I mean, the fact that you can. Oh, shit. Fuck 'em. The fact that when uh, you can release a $500, console and literally have no games, and you get two bangers, and their so-called bangers are their highest-rated games, and you have this whole media juggernaut behind you, just heaping praise on you from every single outlet, from every single source, telling you just how great uh, Game Pass is. And why wouldn't you regurgitate that mess? I mean, it's just at this point, I had my latest podcast. I had about the media bias, and this is just one more instance where you have this guy who's an Xbox. I mean, he's an Xbox insider or whatever, or communications director, and of course he's just gonna regurgitate that same old line,
No,
and uh,
it's one thing to be an Xbox insider, it's something else to literally work at Xbox.
but what are they supposed to say? You know, like honestly, take a step back, and what is he supposed to say?
He was not supposed to say anything because it doesn't concern him, nor does it concern Xbox. He,
I mean, I
but here's the thing. Here is what crazy part is. He let everyone here. So one person said, and shout out to her. Really, a communication director at X. That's why Xbox is what it is. Feel sorry for you indeed. You should take this down. I want to believe you got the wrong interpretation, right? Am I right? No. You clearly are wrong because he kept the tweet up. And shout out to P-Rock. How you still have this tweet up is beyond me. And he put 3 times that dead face on there. And that's the reality of thing. And the thing is, he doubled down. He didn't back down. He doubled down. So and the fact he got a 799 like on this comment showed me there are a lot of brainlet people out there. Shout out to Luca for that word, brainlet. Hey, Despair, you can always join. Unless you're lost. Yeah?
I mean, it goes. It harks back to the whole, okay, the brainless people out there. I mean, and this is a question I'm gonna ask to all the panel members. Like, you know, would you have bought a PS5 if they had 0 launch games? That's question
No.
number one. Okay. All right. Would you have continued to support PS5 or Sony if all they gave you was access to the old games?
I'm gonna start with Weeb, the least console war person I know on here.
Yes, of course. Um, I wouldn't. Well, no. I mean, if there was nothing to look forward to on PlayStation 5, I wouldn't have bothered getting it now. I mean, I would have waited.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm not per se gonna call bullshit on that, but I wanna uh, get your take on which is basically this. With the introduction of the SSD, is that not something revolutionary when it comes to us, the non-PC dudes? Is it not something that we need?
Uh,
Or is that
well,
not worth it to pay $500 for it?
I already have a PC, so for me, that would not have been a thing to act. I mean, now that I've, used to the PS5, you don't want to go back to the PS4, of course, but at the moment, let's say before I've enjoyed the PS5, I was happy with the PS4. I didn't mind it. And you know, I didn't really. If there was nothing to look forward, and to be fair, I'm not necessarily saying that need to have launch games because the PlayStation has an advantage over the Xbox is that you know what you're gonna get, right? You knew at that point in time you were gonna get a sequel to Horizon, you're gonna get God of War Ragnarok, uh, Spider-Man 2. You know all these games before they were even announced. You knew they were coming. For Microsoft, I mean, they have all everything to prove, right? I mean, their staple franchises uh, have been, diminishing returns. The studios they've bought have still pretty much shown nothing really, which is in a way astonishing because it's one thing that you take your time and if you're developing a AAA game, sure, that'll take time, but you have a lot of indie studios who had ample time to come up with a game, and then they're not going to make a AAA game. They're working on doing their own thing, what they're good at. And we've heard. I mean, I think you probably have that as a different topic, but we heard Playground Games had trouble development with
We're gonna talk
Fable.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the initiative. How they fucked up with Perfect Dark. I mean, Xbox has everything, Microsoft has everything to prove with a new console. So that's the difference, right? I could theoretically buy a PlayStation 5 even if it didn't have launch games or launch games I'm very interested in, because I knew, especially with the scarcity, it's a different thing, of course, but you probably want to get it even if you're not sure you need it at this point in time because don't know when you're going to get it when you actually want it. But still, with the PlayStation, I at least know what I'm gonna get. Uh, I could have not known what was coming or had any release dates or whatever. But I know these games are coming. And with Microsoft, I mean, okay, sure, if you're a Halo fan or a Gears fan, you probably,
Now, even
still,
let me stop you on that.
still,
Even Halo fans are unhappy now.
yeah,
Apparently,
no,
the
no, no.
honeymoon phase is over, and people are mad.
That's sure, but I can kind of still get for those people who would say, I don't know, whatever Hail Mary they were going for, hoping that Halo Infinite was going to be, you know, blow people away, or blow them away. I mean, I get that. I mean, I can get if you're a fan of a franchise, you might hold on to hope, even though you probably uh, should have known better. But
All right,
for
so
me, as a newcomer, or at least as somebody who's not invested in the Xbox franchises and the Xbox ecosystem like that, yeah, there is nothing at the moment that's compelling me to buy. So yeah, no, yeah, I get what you're saying, and
but
yeah,
it
in
goes.
principle, you shouldn't
I'm sorry.
shouldn't buy a console if there's nothing on there or nothing coming that you are looking forward to. But yeah, with the PlayStation, yeah, I mean, and you know what you're getting. That's sort of. I'll shut up now, but because I'm repeating myself. But I think you get my point.
So,
Gotcha.
but here, no. So let me finish. So that question was directed, and I'm gonna get around to it. It'll be a little, a little winded. And then when a console introduces an SSD memory card that's only about $200 cheaper than the actual system, actually more expensive than the second SKU. Okay, my point being is when you see the term brainless, um, I mean, Microsoft did a wonderful job of marketing, and they told you plain and simple. And I know it's a play on words, I know it's a joke, or it's but they powered your dreams. Okay, that's exactly what they told you what they were going to do. They they sold you a dream, and they got all this power behind these so-called dreams. Now, I'm saying that being funny and console warm, but the simple fact is when you have these however many millions of people that have bought into this ecosystem and Microsoft has did a phenomenal job of convincing these dudes a uh Game Pass is is second to Jesus Christ, and it's the best thing ever. You have access to all your old games at 60 or possibly 120 frames per second, games that you should have already played, but they were trash then. That's why you didn't buy them then. But we're going to give them to you now in higher fidelity, higher resolution, 60 frames per second, whatever, to hold you over till whenever we decide to give you some games. Um, and then I really believe, and I don't have any proof of this, in my opinion, but they have also did a masterful job, a master class, in going after the media and going after these influencers to on this campaign to just hype and hype and hype. And so you get, and I find, and this is just me, just because I deal with a lot of business outside of the country, but this mentality, especially with Americans, that we're into sensationalism. We love the biggest, baddest, uh, uh, strongest, powerfulest. We love those. We love those words, right? We love them. You know what I mean? And no matter the fact that it's a shit product, it's still the biggest, the baddest, the most powerfulest. And so they've really tapped into this, and these guys have to go run with that narrative now. They've invested their money. They're sitting here waiting. They're getting mocked and clowned on Twitter or any other YouTube, any other social media space. You can't back down now. You can't. No American is gonna stop advocating for something that they've invested in. I mean, that shows weakness. That shows, a lack of whatever the case may be. And so these guys have to. And so when you get this guy who's an Xbox community, he's already drank the Kool-Aid. He's part of Microsoft, so he's going to, of course, console war and hype zone. But then you have his 700 or whoever likes, and you say these brainless people. No, they're just Xbox guys that know that they got duped, or probably know but don't care that they got duped. And so this is what you'll see this entire generation. This is what you'll see when Redfall comes out and looks wild and crazy and like like an Xbox 360 game. When as Starfield drops and as beautiful as the CGI looks and the still shots look, it'll be a buggy mess. And you know what? It'll be the greatest game ever. Greatest game ever to the Xbox community. And so yes, brainless is perfect, but this is just that's status quo right now for the Microsoft guys because they can't do anything else. While we're over here on the PlayStation side, gaming, game after game after game after game, and yeah, you can't back down, then you can't concede defeat.
I mean, when someone's trying to combat you with a game you can also play, you know it's laughable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why compare Forbidden West to Elden Ring? Like, the second the media starts doing this shit, the second the media starts saying Elden Ring is the best thing ever since sliced bread, this told me you never touched a Soul game in your entire life before.
Part of
Because,
me,
yeah?
part of me thinks that this is intentional, right? That they, on one hand, you have Phil Spencer, complaining about the console war and we should treat the developers with respect. On the other hand, you have these Xbox executives basically console war themselves. And I think you can reconcile that if it's sort of a divide and conquer kind of strategy, right? That you pretend that you are on the up and up, but in the meantime you're sowing the seeds basically of you keeping that console war going because I mean these companies started that, right? I mean, with their aggressive marketing, they started that. They created this tribalism that Phil Spencer hates so much, but he knows he needs that because it's the only reason why Xbox is still relevant because their fanboys, went tribal, eh? and what happens when you form into tribes? You fight other tribes, right? You get tribal warfare, and that's what they're basically their entire reason or the entire reason that they exist right now is because they cultivate that and they need that fan base to keep the brand going and to keep it relevant and these are basically I would say the whales right of their of their consumer base, right? These are people who buy every controller that they throw out, more controllers in games. You know what I mean? But it is in fact true. It is what they're counting on, and this is
So
basically part of their strategy.
what you're telling me is they need console war to stay relevant.
I think so. I think so. This because he knows that he can say, "Oh, I want to reach 2 billion gamers." He knows he's never going to do that. He knows he needs that core fan base, a hardcore fan base that will do all the shit that he's saying he's against, but he knows he needs them, and that's what his executives are doing. That's why they're flaming that console with with some subtlety, sometimes not very subtle, and he's pretending he's not seeing that. And this is sort of the new way of because people will not acknowledge that they will not acknowledge that this is console war rhetoric because they want to pretend that Phil Spencer, is their Lord and Savior, is in complete control of Xbox, and he's the second coming of Jesus, right? He can do no wrong. But that's part of the game. I mean, they creating their own. They will ignore everything that doesn't fit their narrative. Right? The fanboys will ignore everything that contradicts. Even because Phil Spencer has said so many things that he had to come back later on or come that are contradicting it. And the thing is that when you get a lot of information from the same source that doesn't add up, people are not gonna say, "Oh, wait, he's full of full of shit." Right now, these fanboys are basically saying, "Okay, I'm gonna choose to believe my reality, where Phil Spencer is, the greatest man alive who saved Xbox, and all the other things that he said were, people misunderstood him or it was misquoted or whatever." Right? That's how they do things, and they're counting on that people have this very selective memory, this tunnel vision about what he is about and what Xbox is about, and that's just part of the game apparently. That this is how and I'm not. On one hand, I'm surprised that the communications officer would engage in such bullshit. On the other hand, if that's part of their strategy, if that's how they are trying to control this console generation or this information surrounding it, well, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So before I go to you, Nate. Oh, he did.
What? What
Um,
are you talking about?
Nate is gone.
No, I'm not.
Oh, never mind. It's not so. It's my TV, my laptop is broke, so it's not
Right.
showcasing that. Never mind. Before I go to you, Nate, are so someone told me on Twitter that if Phil Spencer follows the biggest and most hardcore Xbox fanboys that are console warish, that means nothing, cause it's Twitter. Is that correct? Or is he wrong? Because in my opinion, you're dead wrong.
I didn't.
Like
I didn't even hear
Xbox.
what you said.
Okay, so Phil Spencer, I even put it out in a tweet. Give me a second. So I'm gonna now name drop every single person that Phil Spencer, and it's not gonna be a long list because I
Oh, he
don't.
follows. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well, no,
no,
but that's what I
no,
was saying.
no,
Like
no,
what
no,
we were
no,
saying was like
no,
that.
no. This is not uh, them following Phil Spencer. He is
I
following
know.
them.
That's what
Oh,
we're saying.
Okay,
yeah.
so we
That's why I
start
said
with
what we've said makes sense because everybody can low key see that he follows these people.
yeah. So for example, we start with Sarabon. That's normal. We then go to Destin. Why would you follow Destin? Destin is all about the console war. Colt Eastwood,
Well, Dustin works for IGN though.
uh, but he is also console war.
I mean, he is,
Okay,
but
okay, okay. Colt
IGN is
Eastwood.
big, so
Why would you follow
well,
Colt Eastwood? Is literally the
because he's
definition of
literally a
console war.
propaganda machine for Xbox.
Exactly.
Literally.
But here is the thing. It gets worse. Like Tim Dog is called console war, but he is not on the level of Colt Eastwood. But then you go to Andrea Piscini. The definition of console war.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
mean that's
yeah.
all that account is for.
I have that account blocked. And then you have Crowley, the person that spread misinformation. You have Jeff Corgan, another person that spread misinformation. So it's almost like there is a trend. One pretend to be for the quote unquote gamers, on the other hand, uh, act like this, and it's working. If you tell them like, look who is he following, they don't care. They think of it as Twitter is nothing. Nah, dude. When you're as the head of Xbox, whatever his title is, and you are following one of the worst people on earth that make fun of developers. You know, the same Phil Spencer that said don't have developers, don't compare games between games, and respect the developers. He, in the same breath, he then goes ahead and follows a person like Andrea Pacini. It's like, what we're doing here? How the fuck was this dude able to get a word? But again, before I go to you, Ignite, I'm gonna ask a second question. Is Xbox even a competition? You know how no matter what you say, people say, "Oh, we need Xbox to stay on PlayStation neck." Why? PlayStation have been doing great without Xbox so far. Why do we genuinely need a company that is A, not doing anything, not even bare the minimum, that actually, I would rather have Amazon or Apple or whoever to take over Microsoft, not take over like in the sense of push them out of the console space and have someone actually compete against PlayStation. Nintendo is not doing that. Nintendo is sitting comfortably at the second place, uh, while in reality they are third place because second place is quote unquote Xbox because of the quote unquote imaginary rivalry between Xbox and PlayStation. So I ask, and again, this is for the panel as well. Should Microsoft get out of the gaming industry? Because they clearly don't care about it. Hey, Cyberdragon, you made it. Sup? Let's go with an 8.
Uh no, not I mean, not to me. I mean, like I said, I mean plenty of people still like it. They still have the core values of a gaming company. They just suck at it. I'm gonna be honest. Um I just I think it's pretty obvious. Um they've struggled in a management standpoint,
We're
and
gonna talk about that.
I think it's just something that people could severely underestimate and undervalue when it comes to building games. How many intrinsic parts there are, And when you are missing one of those things, it is very, very real. And when you have people that have worked for a number of these companies and then get to then work for PlayStation and they tell you how different it is, you start to understand why they're able to produce the games that they do. Not that some of these companies don't get something out the door and get these hit or misses, but when you are PlayStation is the Tom Brady of the gaming industry. Like they're going to the Super Bowl whether you like it or not, and they not retiring. like,
But
like
it's
that.
not like the PlayStation is resting on their laurels, though. They're actually competing.
People say that shit all the time about them. People said that shit about them during the PS3. They couldn't see the value in the PlayStation 3. I'm one of the first people to tell you I'm an early adopter, always have been. The PlayStation 3, I was there day one. I got the second to last 60 gigabyte PS3 for $600. I saved every single cent I could. It was completely worth it. Like a lot of people just don't understand the long game that PlayStation has always played, and largely because, like Ghost said, the American way is instant gratification. Bigger is better. Buy American. You know what I'm saying? All these stupid things that Americans get stuck on, but eventually, no matter what, the better product always shows up and wins. Um, so yeah, man, they're missing that key factor. They are obviously trying their hardest right now to shore that those areas up. But again, this is a prime example of why I say like people be low key disrespecting, PlayStation Studios like Gorilla, who went from Killzone to Horizon, and like everybody thinks that like anybody could just do it if they got the money. I'm like, that is an extreme level of passion, talent, management, production. Like to get Horizon Zero Dawn from a company that did nothing like that before was impeccable. Like it's just always severely underestimated because a lot of times PlayStation honestly makes it look fairly easy. Um, yeah, I think that's just where they're at, man. I don't think I'd rather see some of these other companies mainly just because they handle a lot of stuff badly. I don't like Apple's. It's as expensive as we want it to be, and we don't care approach. So I'm not a fan of that. Um,
So what's
and
the point with
Amazon
Microsoft
just has
now
too much
then?
shit going on.
What's the point with Microsoft? They're clearly not competing.
I mean, they're just struggling. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. This is what I said though. Money is not so for some people, money is the only thing missing. Microsoft money is the last thing that's missing. People often think that money is the exclusive answer though, but it's not. If you could pay all of us, it doesn't matter if you could pay me 100 million this year. I still couldn't produce. You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man, 3 all on my own or something just because you paid everybody. You could pay half the armchair dev motherfuckers on Twitter and they might be able to produce like some stick figures. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that talent, that level of talent and being able to manage it and put it together is very rare. Um and I think that's their struggle right now. Like you can't just. I give you the perfect example. This is what I love because a lot of people underestimate this, but sports is the perfect example of what happens when you spend a lot of money and slap some shit together just because all these people are supposedly good.
Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly. So I always do the comparison, right? There's the 96 Bulls, right? The most famous, infamous setup ever, right? The reason they were so great, besides having, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, on the team, was because Michael Jordan had all these other crazy starters on the team who all played their position like nobody ever had in the history of basketball. So when all that came together, that's the PlayStation right there. You know what I'm saying? Scotty played his position. Stojakovic, what I'm saying? He played his position. All these people who are not particularly as famous as Michael Jordan all played their position in order for Michael Jordan to be who he was. You know what I'm saying? So that's how PlayStation works, though. The PlayStation Studios, when they bring you in house and they nurture you and bring you on that inside culture, these internal forms, and this is the big difference that a lot of people are missing. PlayStation don't have a problem funding the money, and this is what I'm saying. Like, if it costs 60 million, it doesn't matter if Xbox has 100 trillion to spend. That's irrelevant. You already
But
funded it. You
even
see what I'm saying?
but even when they got the talent, they couldn't do shit with it.
And that's
Look
the
at
management, though.
what's called the initiative, Quadruple A Studio. They had people from Santa Monica, from Naughty Dog. Like,
And that's what I'm getting at, though, right? So one of the prime examples of one of the things, the most infamous things that happened, right? Um, LeBron James, one of the current greatest basketball players of all time, went with some of his homies and everything, and they all were like, "We're going to go to Miami," and they slapped all these top tier people on the team. They did eventually win, but the first year they were together, it was the sloppiest, worst looking shit you ever seen. Because because they're all good doesn't mean they're a good team. You see what I'm saying? They're good individual players playing their positions on the teams that they were on, but just slapping them all together on a team just because you got the capital or the money or however they, so and so took a pay cut. Like I said, however you got the money situation done, just because you put them all on the team doesn't mean they're going to make a great basketball team. Or in this case, just because you buy all the talent in the world doesn't mean you can put them all in the studio and be like, build me a game. Or I want this game out of you. I want Perfect Dark, and I want you to make it amazing. Motherfucker, they might not even have a passion for Perfect Dark. Like, these are certain things. There's certain things that you just forget, right? Like people think that just because making video games is often fun, and we see a lot of people who are in it and love it, that you don't need the passion to go with it, right? The people that I don't care how much money Roblox makes, they don't have the same passion as the people that are working on a project like the new Mass Effect. Like, the amount of effort day and night I'm gonna put in if I'm put on the BioWare team working on the new Mass Effect to make sure that shit is like nothing you've ever seen before and is gonna improve upon the game and the story that you have learned, throughout the time and experience, because I have a passion for that game beyond anything you can imagine. Because I've been there, that experience. When people talk about put the N7 badge on their name on Twitter, I know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what they were missing. Halo used to be that. You know what I'm saying? If somebody, I don't even like Halo. When somebody said 117, I knew what that was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew, like, Halo was the jam. I totally respected it. People genuinely loved it. You know what I mean? But I knew immediately after playing this current one, there was a bunch of excuses being made for a bunch of the shortcomings, and those excuses are part of the reason why they keep fucking up, to be honest, because this fan base fails to be honest. So you got twofold problems. You got a management problem, and you got fans who can't be honest. So if I tell
no,
you
and
everything is all right,
you got a third problem. You got the media that is deep throating them.
well, exactly, and they letting shit slide, right?
They won Game of the Year before the game was even released. Let that
Exactly.
make sense.
Yeah. It's a mess in so many different factors, and I'm like look at right now, some people didn't like it, you know what I'm saying? But and this, that, and the third. But whatever you say about Gran Turismo, you know what I'm saying? GT fans called them out immediately, including myself.
Yeah, you were the people that called them out. You had
Yeah,
a
this
few
is
that
not
were
right.
defending it, but most of
Yeah,
you
we
called
did.
them out.
But most people were just talking about the microtransactions. And
Yeah.
like I told you, removing the microtransactions does nothing for me. So if they want to keep them, that's fine. Because the microtransactions are not the actual problem. The actual problem is the in-game economy and some of the choices that they made going forward. That's what needed to be addressed, and that is what is being addressed in the upcoming update. They
Mm-hmm.
are addressing those You know what I'm saying? And it's either or. You know what I'm saying? Either you got to bring some of them prices down, or you got to increase my payout in certain ones. Because
Mm-hmm.
I hate to tell Kazunori, but grinding in GT is what people have always done. So if he thinks that messing with the game is not going to have people grinding, people are going to find a way. If people are going to grind, that's what they do. And some people, you only want 100 cars. Because somebody asked the other day, why would you want all the cars in the game? Motherfucker, because that's what I have always done in Gran Turismo. You know what I'm saying? I eventually shore up my entire collection because I tend to play Gran Turismo for a year or two, at least. And this is before GT Sport and GT6. So that's what I'm saying. Like the all these little things that are in the PlayStation ecosystem. By ecosystem, I mean everything from the dev cycle to its fans being vocal about these specific problems and issues. But just speaking up about the shit. Like it's the same problem. Like Nintendo is another example though. They make great games, clearly. But there's lots of features and stuff that they were just letting go because they just did not care. Like
They don't even have trophies.
yeah, and I was like, and even that's not even the biggest deal for me, but like something was so blatantly bad to me, and I completely felt for people when they said this. I was playing the Marvel, I can't remember what it's called right now.
Marvel versus Alliance. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, not the Versus, but the Alliance 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
So
three.
the game was amazing, right? So we met some people in one of the lobbies. I added them, but there's no way for me to get them to help me. They were willing to help. They were really strong. You know what I'm saying? I needed them to help me do certain things in the game. How can I tell them that? They're on my friends list now, which is irrelevant. I literally can't do anything with it. My friends list is a thing that tells me you're online. That's all it does on Nintendo. I can't send you a message, a note. I can't whisper you. I can't do shit with it. Like being on your friends list is completely irrelevant if I have no other way to talk to you. I have to have some other form of communication with you in order to get any form of message across. What is the point of that? Like,
Yeah,
and then
no.
you lock down one of the most co-op based games on the entire planet behind that system. And it's like the only reason I even got where I was is because a friend of mine bought the game too. So I played with him over Discord. But again, like I said, these people, I had no way to tell those people in game who were willing to help me to come help me do something that would have got me to a point where I could have been self sustaining in the game. But because of the excuse that people give and buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Switches, you know what I'm saying, and let this excuse ride and Nintendo doesn't care, like that's their biggest downfall. You know what I'm saying? So all these people have all these weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, it's not just Xbox. That's what people think. We're just saying it's just Xbox. No, but Xbox's biggest problem has always, and I mean always, been project management. They just cannot get it done, and they don't understand that it's not always about the money.
So
Just because you pay
who is it
somebody,
at
they doesn't
fault
mean they
then?
can do it.
How can
Hmm?
they fix it? Should Phil Spencer leave them, or should he fire Matt Booty? Who? It's like clearly there's an issue. How
I
do
mean,
they fix it?
they need to get down to it and see what's happening on a team by team basis. Like, I don't think people understand how intrinsic the
But
management system is to how PlayStation works. Like,
but Phil
how
Spencer,
can they fix it? They got to find out what the problem is in each of those positions before they can even begin, right?
I think the problem is literally Phil Spencer, because he clearly is not a person with eyes when come to know when a great game is great. Like this dude literally said he wanted Crackdown 3 to be on the level of Halo, Gears, and Forza, and then he allowed for it to be released the way it was.
Well, I mean, clearly their focus testing ain't helping them at all because that shit was trash. But that's another. I mean, that's another thing. You can't. Well, I forgot the phrasing for it. You can't buy taste or whatever. Like, we've
Uh,
heard some of. Go ahead. What was you saying, Weave? Is that the
uh,
phrasing? You can't buy
that's a phrase.
taste. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so like I remember Kaz at one point, and people were shocked when we heard about it that they canceled a sci-fi game that was deep in development from Sony Santa Monica because they felt it wasn't up to the standards. You're talking about like 1.5 to 2 years in development or something like that. And then of course after that we got God of War 2018. That was the studio's next game.
But even then, the God of War, when Shuei Ishida went to Santa Monica, he said, "This shit is not it, scrap it," and they did.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation is quick to fix that shit.
Yeah, you can't it's hard to do that, man. It's hard. You got this is where the longevity comes from and the pedigree of something, right? Like what Ghost asked earlier, and we've said, yeah, I would still buy a PlayStation because I know what I'm going to get, right? And I'm the same way. Until proven otherwise, PlayStation has been a part of my life for over 25 years, bro. Like they have given
Mine
me
as
more to
well.
play
Mine as well.
than anyone. Like, and then don't get me wrong, Nintendo is intrinsic to my gaming over the years as well. But shit changed when PlayStation hit the market. It was completely different. It was everything I've ever wanted, whether it came from them or them understanding that's what I wanted from the third party developers when they went and secured Final Fantasy VIII and stuff like that.
8 or 7?
That no eight.
No,
Remember,
7.
I like eight.
No, they
So
secured 7 first, though.
Negro, wait a minute. I'm explaining the story. This is my story.
I
Eight.
thought they secured 7 first. I'm just checking if
I'm not talking about seven though. I'm
Mm.
talking about eight.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm saying they continued on. I'm not talking about the story where they first got Final Fantasy and got seven. I'm saying they went on later to secure eight. Is
Gotcha.
what I'm saying, and
Nice,
continued
nice.
and got nine and so on and so forth. Eight is specific to me because that is when I started in on the franchise. So them having that and securing that and me getting that experience there, even though it is not a PlayStation game, was key. You know what I mean? To and securing more experiences like that, like Xenogears, like Suikoden 1 and 2. All these things are key to what PlayStation has meant over the years, right? It's not just PlayStation alone, their first party. PlayStation, this is why I said it's important going forward for PlayStation to not lose some of those third party deals. You know what I mean? When and it's not even, it doesn't even have to be exclusive. That's the mistake a lot of Xbox dudes make lately. They think it's all about exclusivity. Like it's not, because what happens when half these games come out that are synonymous with PlayStation, they mop up on PlayStation. 70-80% sales on PlayStation. It's
We've seen it
irrelevant.
every single time.
Exactly. But they think it needs to be exclusive. No, it doesn't. I've got my exclusives over here and I got that game. Long as I'm not missing that game, then it's not a factor. You know what I'm saying? So when, if like I said, Octopath was a miss. It's not a huge miss, but I'm just saying like things like that can't continue to miss the PlayStation platform because they are intrinsic to what PlayStation has meant over the years. So these are things that PlayStation has constantly secured and constantly given us over time, and that's that all of that is the pedigree and the history that like Weeb and we were talking about when it's like, yes, I would buy one because I know what's coming. I know what they're about. You know what I mean? It's the same reason why some people, and I've never done this, but maybe Ghost has done it because I know he said he had a supercar or something, or supercars or something at one point, which a lot of people do when they have cars at that level. A lot of times, you know what they do? They pre-order a car. Most people ain't in that tax bracket, so that might not be some shit you ever do. But you would pre-order like the next McLaren because you've had three of them. You see what I'm saying? So you know what to expect when you see that car. You know what to expect performance wise, comfort wise, the level of engineering behind that vehicle. So you have confidence before you even sat in this vehicle that it's going to be amazing for you to drop 200-300 grand before you've even seen the car in person. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what PlayStation has had for so long. You know what I mean? And the reason, part of the reason they've had it is fans, because every time they slip up, we don't let them continue to slip up. You're not gonna give me day one Sea of Thieves and I'm gonna be okay with that. No, that's not what I want from you. And it's the same way with Square. When Square tried to go through all them live service games and a bunch of like Americanization in their studios and stuff, they their sales went down. Fans shitted on them, and guess what? They released a real, like, I forgot what it was. They went through like a huge phase where they tried to come out with a bunch of Americanized version of their franchises, and eventually they released a Japanese JRPG game, and guess what? Sales went extremely well, and they were like, "Damn, y'all still really want these games?" And it was like, "Yes, motherfucker. If I wanted Halo, I would have bought Halo, bitch. I don't want you to make Halo. Like, I want you to make the next Final Fantasy or whatever, the next Xenogears, and so on and so forth." So yeah,
Gotcha.
that's why I said it's so complicated. But for specifically for Xbox, man, it is a management, man. You gotta get down to the lowest level on each of these teams and find out what is not gelling. Why
What
is it not?
is what is PlayStation issue? If you like, we name dropped Xbox issue, we name dropped Nintendo issue. What is PlayStation shortcoming? I'm curious.
I think PlayStation's only issue sometimes is just their lack of I guess this is where the resting on their laurels comments come from. Uh, Sometimes their lack of, at least their visible lack of initiative. Like, it feels like at some points, like, they expect, because they are PlayStation, that it feels like, oh well, I'm gonna get that game on my platform, and and it's like, and then they lose one randomly that turns out to be the shit, and you're like, how the fuck did PlayStation lose that game? You know, like, that game is has PlayStation written all over it. So I think that's one place where they just need to be careful. That's their biggest thing. It's just, it's not a level of cockiness either. I just think it's a blind spot that sometimes they just, like, they have such good relationships and stuff with some of these companies that they just kind of don't see it sometimes. It's rare, and it's not a huge problem because they do get the majority of these games. But
Like
I'm
for
just saying, like,
example,
yeah, you got to be careful.
what's called Astropath, Octopath Traveler.
Exactly.
That's
I,
a blemish on PlayStation. That will never go away until that game. I don't believe that game's ever gonna be released on
Probably
PlayStation.
not. Were you going to say, Ghost?
to elaborate on Nate's point, and this is just from my perspective, like,
Mm-hmm.
as old as I am, I've been
Oh, you're
around
old?
games.
I thought you were 20 years old. Continue.
Oh wait, shit. Um, but here's the thing. Like, to elaborate on Nate's point, to elaborate further, um, the one thing that PlayStation has exceeded a lot of my expectations, right? Because what time that I have to game, right? For me, gaming is an escape from all the whatever is going on in my life. It's the few hours a day that I have to
Mm-hmm.
immerse myself in a whole nother world, a whole nother, um, uh, you know, universe. And PlayStation has categorically, hands down, did that generation after generation. The quality, the passion, the experiences that I've had, starting back. I remember when I got my PlayStation 1, I was playing a game called Warhawk, and I was just like, "Geez, this is amazing."
I
I
said the
remember,
same thing.
what I'm saying. I remember playing the first Resident Evil, and I was over at my buddy's house, and he had a big old creepy, weird dark ass house, and I was sitting there, and when those dogs jumped through the window, scared the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, oh my god, there's no, this doesn't get any better than this. And then progressively each generation. And so my point being that over the years, and especially with this generation, like as many of the games I have, each one of the games that I have, to me, are an outlet that no other console, has given. Because I've owned Xboxes, and I had an Xbox One X, and I remember, I opened it and I was like, all right, cool, plugged it in. I was playing PUBG and I was like, all right, whatever. Turned it off and didn't touch it for a few months, and then I gave it to my at the time she was 8 or 9 year old, and
Mm-hmm.
she literally picked up a controller and she was like, "What is this garbage?" And
Oh shit.
and yeah, and she was playing Roblox on it, and she was like, "This just feels alien to me." And
Yeah.
so I got her a few more games on Xbox, and she just was like, "I'm good on this." You know what I'm saying? What is this? She said, "Is this some off-brand console?"
Oh man.
Yeah,
Damn.
this is an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay, and so for me, PlayStation has throughout the years gave me experiences like no other. Like Ghost of Tsushima was amazing for me. Last of Us 2, it just it pulled at your heartstrings. It made you truly identify with whatever character you were playing in the moment. There's countless other games that just engross you. On top of just the technical aspect of the games, but
Jet Moto.
but yeah, like Jet Moto, you know, you know, you, no other console for me. This generation of CD-ROM games like that. Of course, Nintendo had a special place in my heart because I was what I was raised on, right? Or not
Mm-hmm.
really raised on, but the first console that I bought, I was from the ColecoVision and the Atari. But I was the youngest of four siblings, so I could only play when my older brothers weren't on, right?
Yeah.
So, um, but so that's the one thing that PlayStation, and I don't want them to get away from that, especially from their
Hmm.
first party and even with their third party subscribers.
I
So
mean,
there's a whole.
oh, 1 second. What's his name? Just to make you feel comfort, Herman Hulk came out and said they're never gonna stray away from the single player version.
Right, and here's the thing: when Herman Hulse or Jim Ryan, says as much lying as Jim Ryan does, the simple fact is
He
they
does.
are still,
He does.
but they still stay true to their core of what made PlayStation or what makes
Hmm.
PlayStation, you know, an excellent piece of hardware. And you don't get that because once again, and this is really not trying to badmouth Microsoft, is that they are this multi-trillion-dollar company that really emphasizes on their software, right? Outside of Xbox, I'm not talking about Xbox. And so Xbox is really, to me, feels like it's an afterthought, and they're only in this sphere because they've managed to corral 50 40 50 million people, true believers I like to call them, what I'm saying, into this their ecosystem, and they've really had not had to put very much work into it. And so that's why you get the half-ass games. That's why you get these games that don't connect you. Now what I will say is when Xbox, the OG Xbox originally came out, and I remember playing Halo the first time, and I was like, holy moly, what is this? This is the best game ever. And that grabbed me, and I think that grabbed a lot of Xbox fans, right? But then once
So
again,
where did that passion go then? Cause how do you look
it,
at what they released with Halo Infinite and say we nailed it? So where is
but
the
you can't
disconnect?
because no, the disconnect is they became, or they've been along this trajectory of just like every other American business. Americans are perfectly
You
fine with.
you keep bringing and say you in age and for an American myself, please elaborate. What is the American? What is causing this? What is the issue with the Americans? I'm curious.
Okay, so check this out. So check this out. Um, for and this is going to sound a little elitist. Okay, so when you go to a steakhouse, like there's a steakhouse here in America called Ruth Chris. Okay, It's not. It's one of the premier, but it's not like the best. But it's one of the best. It's synonymous with quality, right? You go to a steakhouse like that, and you have this experience, right? The ambiance, the food, the delivery of the food, the staff, is just it's that's the reason why they're $100 steaks, right? And then, but then you have a majority of Americans that will go to Applebee's and order a goddamn steak. Not saying there's anything wrong with Applebee's or getting a steak from Applebee's, but it's just too different. And so, the majority of Americans are Applebee's Americans. Okay, and if you've ever traveled outside of the country, like one of my favorite places on the planet is the island of Crete in Greece. I go there 2-3 times a year. I fucking love it. I love the people. I love the culture. I love everything about just being in Greece. And even if you're in Spain, or when I've been in Budapest, I've been in Warsaw, Poland, I've been to so many other different countries where the people are so much more in tuned with their self-worth, their culture. Where here in America, we have no culture, right? We're a hodgepodge of everyone. Now you have some sections, there's some subcultures, but for all intents and purposes, we're McDonald's, Wendy's, and what I'm saying, Applebee's, right? We like value, but we love to mask it under, oh well, I spent $20. I mean, it's very hard to explain if you have not experienced it, right? So we'll throw a whole bunch of shine and polish on some dog shit, and people will eat it up because we are just this sensationalist society that love buzzwords, that love the biggest, brightest, newest, and if I can get it on a budget, oh, I'm in there. That's what most Americans want. You know what I'm saying? And Microsoft has did a phenomenal job of capitalizing on that, guys. And if you cannot see it, I mean, the Xbox in itself, yes, it's 12 T-flops, but it's not all that great. But what they did is they gave Americans so much, or they gave these gamers so much in Game Pass for $15 or some nachos or some fucking Pringles, and we love it. They love it. Once again, whereas PlayStation has given you this quality, they've given you this hardware, this console that's eye catching, it's appealing. Yeah, you got some $70 games, okay, well damn worth it. Yeah, you've got, what I'm saying, but people don't want to connect with, or not, at least a certain subsection doesn't want to connect with, or they're only, I guess, they advocate against Sony or they hate Sony because of they know that we'll say eating good, but they know that we're experiencing all these great experiences, and then they're looking at their games and they're like, ooh, but I love it because it's $15. You know what I'm saying? And so they're trying to equate that, and that's why you see that tribalism, like my man was talking about, Weeb Sheriff. But I think as far as what I'm trying to get at, as far as that you said the disconnect, I think that you have to experience, because you're in the Netherlands, and that once again there's a culture, there's the mentality is just different when you're overseas, and I've experienced it, tenfold. And then you come back stateside, and you're just we're all big branded, we're all marketing, we're all neon lights, we're all buzzwords, we're all sensationalists, we're all bombastic, and but there's really no substance to it all when you get down to it.
Gotcha.
Does that
Um,
make sense?
yeah, it kind of does. It just it exhausting. Again, I'm so tired when people say that Xbox is competing. This is not competition. And I would
But
rather have Xbox out and a different company rises and pushes PlayStation to do better than what we have right now.
I
but
mean,
you
I
said
know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but it's just the amount of what it takes to get to that level is, again, you're talking about something that again is intangible. Like Ghost was saying, they are here because they managed to carve out that 40-50 million. You know what I'm saying? Or that, I'm not even going to say 80 million. It's 40-50 million to be real, because too many people bought 5 and 6 Xbox 360s, so that accounts for at least like 20 million of them things. So yeah, they carved out that 40-50 million and they are grounded in that, and they are committed, you know what I'm saying, more than ever to it in a way that a lot of those other companies won't be. Like it just takes too much capital, and the companies that have the capital, I promise you, you don't. I know it sounds good because it sounds like, man, I wish I could get a refresh and somebody could do something new and amazing and give me something brand new. It's not. It's not that whimsical. I'm telling you, you want them to hunker down. You want them to give different experiences, and you want them to continue to thrive and figure out what is wrong internally. Like I said, Microsoft's biggest thing right now, they need to sit their ass down somewhere and work with what they got. So, as someone who has interacted with some people who got some bread, I can tell you one of the biggest problems I know with people. Sometimes some people just got too much money and they don't know how to sit their ass down somewhere and work with what they got. Like, and you know what I'm saying? They don't know how to utilize all the things they've already gotten. Like you don't need nothing else. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should. Like that's the thing. Like um people often get at some of the people on Twitter and stuff. Some of the people we know in here that we know can clearly afford 100 Xbox one, Series X's if they wanted, but they don't have one because it's a waste of time for them, right? So just again, that's a prime example of just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should do it. So again, just because they can afford to buy more companies, they shouldn't. You need to work with what you have. You need to get all that stuff in working order. Like if you've ever seen some of these prime examples of people who like to do project cars, but they never get none of them shits done. Like oh, I bought a '67, Shelby. I'm gonna work on that, and then they get another project car, and they're working on 3, 4, 5 project cars. These are all prime examples. Like you bought all these cars, what you gonna do with them? You know what I mean? And that's really their biggest problem right now. Stop acquiring, like cut that out, and worry about what you have and getting that working well. Part of the thing that's working for them a little bit is purchasing the companies that they did buy already, and some of the ones that are self-sustaining. Not a fan of it myself. Double Fine. The company they were fully self-sustaining. They basically just needed the money. Bethesda, fully self-sustaining. They just needed the money. As long as Xbox leaves those companies alone, Obsidian, leave them alone, give them the money, let them do their thing, they'll be okay. That is not a good long-term solution for them, though, because what is happening with these other studios now? Playground Games, they tried to give them something else without understanding truly what it would take to get that done. So now, all right, now
Okay,
you're running into trouble.
since you started about playground games, let's switch the topic to playground game itself. How, why was PlayStation able to do it with Gorilla Games and playground games are having issue? So and
I
for
mean,
the people and this
it's an internal thing. So until we know where they're really struggling, we don't honestly know. But watching, as someone who has watched the creation process, like 3 or 4 different documentaries that they put out on Horizon, a big part of that team is the passion, man. They are a huge group of passionate people who saw this project and put everything they had into it. And then what they did, they didn't go out and just get anybody for the missing pieces that they needed. They seeked out some of the best people that would gel well with the team. Um, and you see that, and you see the improvements. Furthermore, going even further with the new Horizon,
oh
right?
yeah.
Better quests, better design quests, more meaningful quests. Guess who they picked up? One of the lead quest designers for The Witcher 3. Like that was perfect. You know what I mean? He's already overseas in Europe. He was already a big fan. He can clearly help them flesh out the story and all that stuff, and it happened. You know what I mean? Like you gotta know what you're doing and what you need, what's available to you. Um, I think that's just a huge factor in the way PlayStation does it. And also, once you get those people, getting them in there, getting them up to speed, getting them on the tools that you're working with, where you're at. Like, again, management. It all keeps coming back to management. I know, but it's because that's such a huge factor. Um, and this is where I gave, this is the one area at least where I actually gave Jade Raymond credit, because originally when she was in charge of Assassin's Creed, that was one of the things she did really well. She was coordinating several teams from multiple countries to create this one single experience that you get when you're working with a team of 300 to 400 or whatever or bigger in Canada. You're working with a team in the States. You're working with another team in Europe who's doing the cinematics. All that stuff that you are constantly in meetings and organizing and making sure each team has enough time. And that, again, that's another thing that bodes well for PlayStation. All their studios, for the most part, until recently, a lot of them have gotten second locations, but most of them are in the same location. So you've got almost the entire team, if not the entire team, in one location. Sometimes they'll outsource little things, but when they're outsourcing stuff too, again, management, direction. What is this team specifically doing for you? Like The Last of Us 2, everybody says Naughty Dog, right? But we know factually, if you've looked at any of the creation stuff or seen some of the stuff they get credit for, they outsource certain things in it, right? But you do that. That is a management thing. What are you outsourcing exactly? How are you relaying that message to that outsourcing company so that you get back exactly what you want? You got to know how to relay that message in order to get back what you want. And it's the same thing I tell people with the doctor, right? How do you get the best treatment at the doctor? First of all, don't lie. Don't say you fell down the stairs if you didn't, because everything that you're telling this doctor is how they're determining how to treat you, right? So it's the same thing I tell people with their computers. Like, people tell me all the time, "Oh, I didn't do nothing." Okay, so all right, we're just gonna reformat it because I don't know what you did.
Yeah, why is your PC have so much malware and stuff like that? Clearly,
Exactly.
you visit a few sites that you
Yeah.
shouldn't be in. Yeah, I feel you.
Now, if you told me the one or two sites you went to, I might know exactly what those sites run and be able to run specific antivirus programs and do some other stuff and clean your PC up without the need to reformat it. But since you don't want to tell me what you did, we got to take the nuclear option and hit the reset button. You see what I'm saying? So,
Gotcha.
like, so the tool for the job is one example, because the person, this is the management, right? The person has to know what they want in order to relay the message, right? Then the part of the other thing with project management is they also need to give their teams the time. One of the things that Rob said, who's the animator for God of War, he relayed something, right? And he said, I remember when I was asked, what point was I at with this one project I was doing, right? He says, and he said, it's going to take another 3 weeks. And, the manager or whatever producer that came by was like, all right, glad it's coming along. Everything's looking great. You said you'll need 3 weeks. Not a problem. I'll relay that to the team, work with this team, get this in order. And that person went and did their job. They didn't tell him, I need it in a week and a half. That's how you get sloppy. That's how you get messed up work. You know what I'm saying? That's how you don't get the quality. If this person is a professional at their job and they're one of the best, and they tell you for what you have requested, it's going to take 3 weeks, you cannot rush that process. When you understand the artistry and what it takes to create something, you can't rush it. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
that, again, that's management. So yeah, that's a big weak spot for them. And not just them. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, he worked at other spots, or he even interviewed. He talked about one thing he interviewed for, and it was like Call of Duty. Call of Duty has suffered tremendously over the last few years and gotten constantly worse and worse and worse. And they wanted to produce more and more. at a higher speed, and the quality just constantly diminished, and they're constantly having bad networking issues and all these things, Call of Duty used to be famous for being amazing at, and they just kept rushing the product for more and more profit and yearly profit, and then it just gradually declined. And when you listen to the hiring process that he put us onto, he was like, in one of the spaces, he was basically like, "Hey, so how do you feel, occasionally needing to work 12-hour days for, several months, nonstop, basically 7 days a week, 12 hours a day? You are going to burn people out, bro. That is terrible." And he was like, he immediately was like, he didn't get the position, he said, but he said he's thankful he didn't, because then, eventually he got to work at PlayStation, where he'll probably stay, to be honest. He was like, it's just a big culture shock internally to see the huge difference that, like, it was such a welcoming environment. And even though he like I said, even though he had the time he needed to complete the project, he still, everybody still states this, and you'll see this, and we've all seen this in here. When you see Naughty Dog and all these people, they go, "Man, working at Naughty Dog was one of the most challenging things or places I've ever worked at in my life, and I loved it. Like, I've never created something on that level with a team on that level." You know what I'm saying? When you get up there and you get to a certain point, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's certain stuff you got to expect. And Ghost would know. I mean, as far as I know he was saying like how Americans are and this and that. But one of the things is very American, you know what I'm saying? And you work with some of the stuff. But the military has a bunch of different separate branches, and then you got special forces, right? Special forces is some different dudes, you know what I'm saying? And there's special forces within special forces. There's the dudes that do things that you can't talk about. You know what I'm saying? And they can do things you probably can't even really describe. You know what I'm saying? Like, they eat, sleep, and breathe it.
Okay, we're gonna move on from that now. I'm gonna go to what's his name? Weep. Can you break
Yeah,
it
yeah.
down what's happening at Playground Games? Because you wanted to cover this topic.
Oh, yeah. What happened is apparently before Fable was announced, they were already working on it for 4 years, and
How many
they
years?
clearly 4 years. So
So
it was
so
already 4 years in development
so they
when
were
when they
so
announced it.
okay. So I'm question: is that the same as Gorilla Game?
No, 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 no. What apparently happened? They bit of a bit more than they could chew because they thought, they made the Forza series, it's an open world racing game. I thought, okay, now we know open world games, so we can do an open world RPG. Yeah, no.
That's it.
They, yeah, they clearly realized that they didn't have the necessary experience, the right people to craft RPGs.
But where is
So,
sorry? Where is Phil Spencer in it? Where is Matt Booty in it? Where are the leaders at Microsoft that be like, nah, dude, this is a totally different ball game. Are you sure you got the right talent for the job? If not so, then we might need to switch you to a different project.
well, it's what Nate said. They don't have the management. That's the key difference between Sony and between Microsoft because you see, I mean, they hired talent from Santa Monica, from Naughty Dog with Initiative, and that studio was a bust. I mean, that was that studio flopped basically. It didn't deliver. It had to go to Crystal Dynamics to actually make the game that they were pitching, and people are leaving in droves. And now with Playground, yeah, I don't know whose idea it was for them to work on Fable. I would not be surprised if Microsoft said, "Hey, look, we want you guys to make another Fable game," rather than let them do,
I
their own
I
thing.
I'm willing to bet money it's Phil Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, and on the other hand, look, if they actually said, "Look, yeah, hey, we have experience with open world racing games. We want to do Fable. I mean, that's also possible that they went to Phil or Matt would like want to do it. The question is, do you say yes to that? Because you need to be. I mean, yes, I know that Gorilla also made a shift, but the difference is they pitched the idea. It is an original idea, right? They didn't just say, okay, we want to do I don't know, we're gonna do God of War, right?
Yeah, here, make this game and do it your way.
But
No, yeah,
apparently, with Gorilla, they started working on it in 2011.
no, no, no. That's not what he's saying though. He's saying it was an original game that they pitched,
Mm-hmm.
not here's a game that is in our back, our catalog, and we want you to make it. We want you to make a new one.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I
So
feel.
And the difference is Gorilla knew, at least clearly they knew that they needed to hire some outside talent, right? They hired the writer of I think Fallout New Vegas to write the story for writing Forbidden no, for Zero Dawn. So they knew that they had to reach out and to cover. They didn't arrogantly say like, yeah, no, we know how to write a story because Killzone had a story, right? They went out like, we need somebody who knows how to write RPGs because essentially we're building, an open world RPG or an action RPG, and clearly Playground didn't get the message, and they're like, hey, we make racing games, they're an open world, so how hard can it be? And that kind of blew up in their face. And I'm really having, Crackdown 3 vibes with this because that game was in development hell too. And, Microsoft doesn't have a reputation for games being, very long in development turn out to be, turn out well. Because with Sony, when games are in long development cycles, like if a game takes 5 years, well, yeah, it's a new IP. Need to conceptualize that, or it's an incredibly ambitious game, and they deliver on that. We can trust them to deliver on that because they have that quality control, because they have the management, because they have the people who will tell their developers to get their act together, and Microsoft clearly doesn't. They will. I would not be surprised if eventually they will ship that to maybe another third party developer. Say, yeah, can you please make our game because our own studios can't do it. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't, if even if you're a Fable fan, I would not be very confident that this is going to turn out well.
Okay. Ghost, what you saying about this?
It goes back to intervention again. Well, now about the whole. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
yeah,
Continue.
yeah.
So the whole. Once let me get upstairs. I can get away from all these kids. My little girl's birthday today, so she's got a bunch of little girls over here. It goes back to the fact that like you're having studios that have no clue. Uh, the whole mismanagement. And once again, like and they said, it goes back to your manager. You have a studio that has no background, no history into making these type of games. Just with like the initiative making Perfect Dark. I mean, why wouldn't you have had Rare? You know what I'm saying? Do it. But the simple fact is, you have Playgrounds, which is known for the Forza series, trying to make a Fable game. Um, Once again, there's nobody at Xbox that's like Shuhei came. When Shuhei or who was it that went to the God of War and was like, man, this looks like some trash.
That's Joy.
When I come back next
Yeah, it was
time,
Shuhei. Yep.
yeah.
You're
So
shooting.
so there's nobody like Shuhei that
But that,
at Xbox that'll
but
come.
is that not Phil Spencer's job to be that Joy? Or am I missing something?
I mean, it doesn't mean he's good at it though.
Right.
So
Yeah,
then the definition
it's your
is
job doesn't mean
Phil
it's better,
Spencer
right?
is the cause of all problems. Cause if the
Put,
bus stop at the top, with all due respect, Coast, you manage. I don't know if you manage companies or not, but let's say just for the conversation's sake, you manage a company, and the company is being in the shithole because of every wrong move you're making. If would your investors trust you? Would you not be voted out of office?
so in my scenario, for all intents and purposes, yes, right? But Xbox is not Microsoft's breadwinner. Okay, they that culture is not the same, right? And
But
so,
they're averaging money. They're losing money.
do do we know that?
I mean,
And
yeah, because they literally said when it comes to initiative, they lost step back. They have now stepped back with the progress with the Perfect Dark because of people leaving like that.
okay,
The
so
the
I'm gonna
people
agree.
that yeah.
I'm gonna agree to a certain extent. But what I'm saying is, okay, so Phil is the top of the top, right? And one of the problems which you will start seeing, which we have seen already, is that when you've got too many, I guess, pots in the kitchen, right? You've got all these studios, and you could barely. I mean, that's always been Microsoft's bane, is that they could barely pump out enough content with the few studios, that they had. So now you go get 30 plus studios, and there's such a smorgasbord of, Bethesda GameWorks is their own thing. Activision, if that goes through, that's going to be their own thing. But the simple fact is, whoever they have in charge of these managers, either they're too lackadaisical, or they just don't have a clear and direct vision. And so, yeah, that it starts from the top down. It's supposed to, but that's not how business works. The shit always rolls downhill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to blame the devs. They're going to blame this. They're going to blame everyone except the people
They
that
clearly
are.
they blaming now Gallagher for the initiative issue. They're not, which boggles my mind. First you blame Gallagher. By 343 you blame the management. When are you gonna stop and think, oh, maybe it's the leader that's leading the company that needs to change his vision? Uh, uh,
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. King Thrash said it perfectly just the other night. For what was worth, Don Matrick knew what the fuck he was doing. Okay, and he was on the same level, not the same. He was on the a level as of with Mark Cerny. Okay, he was a boy wonder genius too. Okay, so he understood fundamentally games. Okay, and so when you had someone like that, when Don Mesh was in charge, yeah, he made some mistakes. He made some, whatever, and they got his ass up out of there. But the simple fact is, he produced games. Okay, and in this era, at least in my mind, when I buy a console, all I care about is games. I don't care about the power. I don't care about the peripherals. I don't care about none of that. First and foremost, get me games. See, Microsoft is so invested in everything but games. You know what I'm saying? That we as gamers, or we as people with brains, can see that.
hey,
Hey,
brain.
what I mean? We see through the smoke, right? We see through the the the
The
the
bullshit.
the, the bullshit, right? We're not falling for the old banana tailpipe and old 12 T flops, or old Game Pass, or Direct X storage. We don't care about none of that, right? We want games. And the rest of these guys, like I said, Phil is a genius. I'd hire Phil in an instant, in an instant, in an instant, because this motherfucker has convinced people to to buy this into this ecosystem and into this console,
But at the
and not
same
go
time,
to.
he is making you lose money though with your product.
But see, what's the root of Microsoft's all? They are a service based company. I mean, Windows 11, Windows 10. I mean, it goes back to it. So this fits right along the lines of what they're trying to do. Yeah, they don't have to pump out fucking games. They don't. They just don't because that's not the end. That's not their end
I
goal.
hate you. I'm joking, of course, but it did genuinely frustrate me. Cause
No, it does because what we care about is games. We care about what you are providing me for, or what are you providing me for my $500? What experiences are you providing me?
You
Great.
mean
Oh, you've
you
got
mean you don't
games.
play VRR
No,
and quick resume? That ain't
please,
your favorite game?
I love those features. I love get these video games out of here. I want to play some VRS. You know what I'm saying? I want to play
look,
VRR.
look how insignificant this VRR shit. PlayStation apparently announced it's coming for them, and I don't give two fly fuck about it because that's not a game. If a game, if VRR come and it works, great. If it doesn't, so be it. But at least we're gaming. Returnal DLC. We just got
That
Horizon Forbidden West.
that is the difference. That is the fundamental difference between, I guess, the Sony ecosystem, the Sony player base, and the Xbox player. They have fandangled these guys into services and options and specs. Games, fuck out of here with games. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. And so when you sit there and say mismanagement of all these places, they don't care. They don't care because they got 25 million dum dums paying $15 a month. You know what I'm
I
saying?
died. I fucking died. 25 million dum dums.
$15 a
Oh
month.
my god.
Paying $15 a month. They got 7 or 8 dum dums that bought a $5 system or a $300 system. They got 7 to 8 million dum dums that bought $399 storage cards. They got 7 or 8 million, hell, even probably more, that are sitting there buying $200 controllers with fur on them. They got 7 or 8 million motherfuckers that are buying fridges and nail polish. They're doing everything but giving them games, and they love it.
Yeah, they do love
Why
that shit.
would
Oh,
they give you games?
so you're telling me that people are more excited about the controller that you can bake and eat than an actual game?
And you
I
see
mean,
it
they
all
ain't
that.
got
I'm
no
not. I'm
choice.
not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. And yet, when I was, they were all about. Oh, I got the new Horizon controller, the Horizon Forza 5 controller. I'm like, okay, what games did you get? So what? I got controllers. They don't care. So if I could pump out a product, or I could pump out a service and not have to produce a product, and people were still buying it, I'd give fuck all about the product too. I'd be like, oh, these dum dums will eat this stuff up, and I don't gotta actually spend any money or any time, resources, and I can have piss poor management. Great, great.
So, so Phil Spencer in your mind is not incompetent, he's just the smartest motherfucker out there because he
Yes,
convinced people for
he's a
paying
genius.
for less.
He's a genius. I mean, he's a genius, and I'm not saying I'm being facetious, but he's a genius. Plain and simple. He's
You're being
convinced these dudes.
genuine.
I mean, yes, he's a genius. He's convinced 25, dare I say 50 million, just, we'll say 50, 60 million, just Xbox in general, and people to buy some bullshit and not give them nothing. And they are content content because he knows if there was one dissenter, as one or two people like, man, where are my games? Well, they'll shut their asses down. You'll have all the Xbot, them Xbots will transform like the Constructicons and come after that one person.
Yeah, they will. Yes, they will.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
The
they will.
Constructicons,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And that's the end of it. You know what I'm saying? And so they have convinced a certain portion of people to champion not having games.
Hey, shout out to the
You
forgettable
turn green.
1 second, Weeb. Shout out to the
Yeah.
forgettable gamer. He said it. When you ask them what they're playing, the response is Game Pass. Most can't even name a game, only the service. It's sad. It's true. I've been in spaces. Motherfucker couldn't even name top 5 games. they have played this year.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think
Whip.
I was in that space where somebody asked that question, like, "What are your top five or something?" And they're like, "Man, I'm just on Game Pass. Just I've been playing a little bit of everything, or whatever. They're just constantly avoiding.
They'll tap dance all around that question.
Yeah,
They couldn't.
Well,
They couldn't
I play Game Pass
name it.
Ultra. I play Game Pass. I play Game Pass Doritos. I play Game Pass Pringles. I play what game, motherfucker? Game Pass. You know what I mean? Come on, man. And so that's why I go in like I do. That's why I it is what it is. But the simple fact is, while us Sony guys, even PC guys are gaming their asses off right now. Okay,
Mhm.
and and these guys are getting furry controllers. They're getting Tunic, which they're all crazy about. Which whatever. Um, I challenged Destin. I told Destin, I was like, Destin, you mean to tell me that you have invested and you love Game Pass and Xbox, and your most anticipated game is Tunic? And then, of course, the Xpodicons came all after me. So,
No, Tunic. Tunic is a great. So here's the thing. I'm
yeah,
not
okay,
about
but
to
you,
bash Tunic. Tunic is a
Well, it's
great
not it's
game.
it's not that you're bashing it though, but when you're telling me this is your most anticipated game, and I know you're absolutely full of shit, that's the
okay,
problem.
Oh,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
we don't
fair point,
no
yeah.
one no, none of us in this podcast or even in our podcast chat said that annotation game or whatever was our most anticipated game of the year, or that we thought it would even be game of the year. Some of us
Like,
said we were looking forward to it and that we wanted to play it and we think it's going to be a decent game. But you don't need to do that, but that's what they do for every game that's coming up. And then,
like,
it gets shitted on, and then they're like, "Oh, well, like what's his name in Crossfire X or whatever."
oh,
He's like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's my most anticipated game," and it came out and it was absolutely trash.
Shout out
yeah,
to Kiss
let me,
Move. He literally
yeah,
said
guys,
that.
I gotta,
Yeah, Phil
I
Spencer
gotta
is the
get
L.
off
Ron
here.
Hubbard of gaming.
One second, what do you want to
I
say,
got,
Ghost?
I gotta get off here because I gotta go to Target and get me an Xbox because Tunic's about to come out, guys. I gotta pop off here. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so then
I gotta get this Xbox for Tunic, guys. It's the last one available. Fuck out of here, man.
I
Fuck out of
truly
here.
believe that you're leaving, so because the final topic fits perfectly at your show tomorrow. But yeah, no.
I'm not leaving. I'm just,
Yeah, I got you. Wait, what you want to say?
I just said that Phil Spencer is the L. Ron Hubbard of gaming. He created a cult and he sold it.
yeah, he's a genius, guys.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Oh, boy.
That's what I'm gonna start. That's what I'm gonna start saying. This man's a genius. He's a genius. Plain and simple.
He outmastered
He's a,
everyone. He genuinely did.
yeah. And I mean, he's winning awards. This man is winning awards.
Yep.
This man is winning accolades for doing what? Fuck
Nothing.
all. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
If
that
you
that
don't, if you can't acknowledge that is just pure diabolical genius, then maybe we're doing something wrong here. I mean, just
nah.
Hey,
yikes.
but shout
It,
out to Phil for giving PlayStation the last great Xbox game.
it's genius. It's genius from the side of he outplayed everyone, but from the side of gamers, he is not providing anything for the game community whatsoever.
Wait for E3, baby.
Oh,
Wait
oh,
for
oh,
E3.
oh, oh,
That's
oh,
right.
his favorite quote. I'm excited to show you what we didn't show you. That's
Hmm.
his favorite quote.
I'm excited to show you. You know what I'm saying? Now, wait, 2 more years, but I'm so excited to show you. Like I'm playing it right now. No, I
Yeah.
can't show you. I can't show you the gameplay of it. I'll just show you. I'll show you a picture of me holding the controller, looking like I'm playing it. Come on, man.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I wish I could convince investors that I was going to be one of the greatest, real estate owners on the planet, and that they would, invest millions of dollars into me so that I could go purchase all these homes and become that. But
Yeah,
convince them before I have anything to prove that that's going to
yeah.
be a factor.
It's amazing, guys. It's amazing, and I just sit back as I'm playing my little Gran Turismo, and I'm like, yikes. I mean, because I don't dabble too much in any of the Xbox podcasts, but it's a
Mhm.
time occasionally I'll hop in one and listen, and I'm like, oh my god.
You're
I'm
not
like, you
missing
guys,
anything.
No,
This
you're
is
not missing anything,
I
but you ought to listen to it, guys. I'm
I
telling you,
I don't need
when
cancers.
you
Thank you
are
very much. One,
when
so here's the thing about me. I can't listen to live. Like, if someone lie, I need to jump into the podcast and destroy him. I hate, like, I'm all about hyping up a game or whatsoever. But when you're out here spreading misinformation, you lose me. It's not fun. It's not engaging.
I mean, you're
It's,
not ready for Sea of Thieves update 47? How, Sway? How are
I
you
got
not excited for that?
I have a brain, thank you very much.
You want new
Does it
games?
contain Kraken's missing body?
Yeah. Yeah, man, we finally getting the real Kraken. I'm talking Davy Jones, 3 feet under. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I like to make fun with that game because this one of the guys on from the Iron Lords podcast team, every time you ask this man what he's doing with his Xbox or whatever, or even his PC, because he has an Xbox and a PC, and he always complaining about his PlayStation. And I'm like, what are you doing over there? He's like, man, you know what I'm saying? Sea of Thieves, baby. Like every time it's Sea of Thieves. I'm just like,
Wow.
are you just gonna play that game this entire generation? Like, is that what we're doing? Like,
Okay, so the final topic of the day is, yeah, remember the debacle when it comes to PlayStation wanting to censor Masa is Dead? Well, apparently there is a game on PlayStation and PC and Nintendo. I think Nintendo. I need to make sure of it. Let me pull up Twitter because that's where everything is. And to think a few years ago I never even wanted to be on Twitter. Let me.
the official
Did you
poll.
read it? Did you read it, Weeb?
Yeah, well, not entirely, but I understood that they wanted they basically had to change a large portion of the game if they wanted to get an Xbox, right?
Not even a large portion of the game. Half of the game.
Well, it's a
So
large one.
what? Yes, it is. So here is Postal Redux coming to PlayStation platform on March 5th. So one person asked, why is it not coming to Xbox? So the official, what's called, um, the official Twitter account says, ask them. They rejected it again. So another person asked, any chance of these games coming to Xbox? And this is a different game. She said, sadly, Xbox refused our first game, but yes, we will try to resolve it, so they want to try. Good luck on them trying. Shake it, check it out, Bishu Battle. I wish we could play this on Xbox too. We wish you could too. Please, release was denied on our platform, on the platform, unfortunately. So this is already 3 games denied on PlayStation, on Xbox. And the crazy part is this. Um, we always try to release our game on all console, but we can't release them on Xbox because we should basically cut 50% of the game to release it. So one person asked, do you mean 50% of the clothing in the game? So the developer said, scenes too, like dialogue and more. Like, that's crazy. Yet no one is talking about it. I wonder why.
oh,
Weep,
because you're not dragging PlayStation in the streets.
weep. Why are they not talking about it? This is 10 times, if not 20 times bigger than Masa is Dead. Why is, what's his name? Um, David Jaffe not hosting, being in a space talking about it. They were talking about it Masa is Dead situation.
Oh, well, why you think? It's not PlayStation.
Interesting. Yeah, so is anyone surprised by this? There's literally no cover for it.
No, like I said, it's if you're not Dragon, you know what I'm saying, the top dog in the room, they don't care. They just blow all that shit out of proportion all the time. Whenever it's played, PlayStation could like censor like a single word in a game, and they would freak the hell out.
They literally ask them to censor half of the game, dude.
I mean, I'm not surprised
I am surprised that no one is talking about it.
because in reality, they just don't care.
Okay, and before I move to you Ghost and Innate, um, I know there are topics about PlayStation buying Haven Studio and Spartacus. Spartacus, I'm waiting on next week, see what it's all about. And what's called um, PlayStation buying Haven. I'm not that excited about it because it's they're making a game as a live service game. That's not up to my alley. Um, they clearly showed with how they handled GT7 that they are not capable at making game as a live service game while being uh, not enjoyable but more like respect the gamers. Because here is the thing, when you do something and then you backtrack, backpedal, that's for me, you're not backpedaling because you was wrong. You're only backpedaling because you got called out on it, which is basically what they did. And if you're doing that, then it doesn't bode well for whatever Haven Studio is making. I'm gonna check it out, see if it. I need gameplay. I need gameplay to tell you if I'm excited about it or not. And if it was up to me, I would have bought Haven, not Haven, Blue and 8. I'm gonna get slack for that, but we can't, at what point do we acknowledge media bias?
You said at what point are we going to acknowledge it?
Yeah, because when we call it out, people say that we're stupid and people say that we're console war. But we are capable of putting console war aside and having genuine conversation. When we bring up numbers, when we bring up factual information, and here is the thing, Twitter is brain dead. There are brain dead people on Twitter. And I'm talking about the ones that arguing with factual information. I have lost countless, quote unquote, lost countless debates or took a lot of L's. Why? Because there was factual information that I didn't know. And when the
Yeah.
fact was presented to me, you didn't hear me say, "Oh, that's bullshit. That's a lie." No, you heard me said, "Okay, so I have no idea of this information, and I have nothing else to add." Clearly, I was not aware of this information. Thank you for letting me know. Now I know better. But the media is incapable of that. And I'm talking specifically the media and not even the Twitter, because Twitter is Twitter. That's an echo chamber. But the media what runs the industry. And I need to bring it up because shout out to his name. Give me a second so I can bring him up. Because this is scary. Shout out to El Basium at El Basium, ELVETHIUM. The only reason why I spelled him, he is one of the cool people on Twitter. He have a YouTube channel where what's called he literally does Elder Ring or Souls games run without taking any damage, and he is one of the cool dude on Twitter. He beat okay, so for the people that played Returnal, he beat Returnal with only his sword.
Yeah.
Goat, you here?
All right, what's the question?
Can you hear? You know how hard Returnal is, right?
Yes.
Imagine beating Returnal with only your sword.
Yikes.
He did it.
Who?
A dude by the name of Albasium. I will hit you up with his YouTube. You definitely need to check him out. His YouTube channel. He is one of the cool dude out there. So he put
Him?
out he put out a tweet that goes as follow. This is where gaming is gonna go if companies bend the knee. Newsflash: there is already a type of entertainment out there for you. If you think like this, movies. So opinion. This is an article of a Twitter account. Tweet. All video games boss fights should have the option to skip them.
Oh
What
God.
Hell no.
what are we doing out here? So here
I mean,
is another.
is that
It's
journal?
just commenting on the
Is that
Twitter.
journalist mode?
Yeah, basically,
Oh,
and it got even worse. Now Ubisoft opened the door. Can we have our skip boss fight button? And this is the best part when I say best with laughing emoji. Worth reading. Games should let you skip combat.
yikes. I mean, this is what I mean, this is what games as a service does. I mean, this is the watered down.
No, no, no,
Uh,
no, 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 no. This is not game of life service. No, this is literally game journalism at its
what I'm
finest.
saying is, what I'm saying, this is the participation trophy of gaming. Everybody get an award. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody can everybody can do this. I mean, you know, these journalists couldn't have been playing Sega and Super Nintendo and Nintendo games. They couldn't have been. They could not have been and wrote a statement like that.
Before I go to you, Ghost, because Innate was first on the line, I just needed your attention when it comes to beating Returnal with the sword, which is again insane. Innate, what do you make of this? I know I said a lot, but take your time and what do you make of everything I just said?
So which part? Because I mean, we talked about the Returnal thing. We talked
Yeah,
about
so
the skip. Are
Returnal,
we talking about the skip button?
Returnal is not for you. Skip button. Basically, they want a skip button and they want a skip button for bosses and skip button for combat. And the option to
Yeah. So
skip
that was
combat.
an absolute joke. So like the person said, there's content for you already because you clearly don't want to play the game. So you can either watch somebody play the shit on Twitch or YouTube, Let's Plays, since you clearly don't want to play the game, or you can watch movies or anime or any of the other shit that you don't doesn't involve you personally doing anything.
But the problem is he is made him a journalist.
Well, again, this is the problem. Like I said, with handing out badges to everybody and their grandmother, you know what I'm saying? And just because you can write something doesn't mean you're a good games journalist. Like having the talent to
Imagine
write
someone
is nothing with
someone
that.
checked this and said yes, it's okay, print it. Imagine that.
I mean, I believe it.
I bet you he plays Xbox.
I mean, I remember the person who literally came out with that quote. So, because it was a mess when it came out. The person was an idiot. Like, and
His
and
name
sh-
is his name is So there are a few people doing it. His
So no,
name
but
is
I'm talking about the first person, and it was a woman because I remember the article because it was all over my damn timeline,
oh
and I
yeah,
forgot the
this is
game
a
she
dude.
said it on. I forgot the game she said it on
Oh, are you
because it.
talking about? Are you talking about the one video, the one Twitter account, the tweet that Luca covered it?
I think Luca did cover it,
I know what
but
you're talking about.
I
The
forgot what the
one, the
game.
one.
The game wasn't even hard though. Like that was the thing that was crazy, and she was still complaining about like I should have a skip button or whatever for all the combat or whatever. Or and because one of the things that she loved in one of the games that she was playing is it had an auto battle mode where she didn't have to fight. Like it would just do the fight
Which
for you basically.
I think that was near.
Yeah, I think it was near. So she liked it. She liked it near, and she was like, it would be even great if I could just skip the combat or something or
I
whatever. And I was
remember.
like,
I remember.
what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, it was a
remember now.
mess. And I was like, so you're telling me you want to play the game, but you don't want to play the game. So why are you
Basically.
playing the game? Like, like event. But this is the thing I was talking about. When you start getting these influx of people, because gaming is so popular, you get these people who are on the outside, to be honest, who just are jealous. You know what I'm saying? They got to get in there and fuck it up somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like the fan bases. You know, like I told somebody, they run into these things where they want to be a part of it, but they're not a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And she happened to be a game journalist. Yes, he James is saying he remembers that as well. And they ultimately don't want to do it. And it's like, why can't you just accept that this is not for you? Like I don't wake up in the morning and shit on water polo because I don't do it. Like, and I don't care who does it. Like they just, but because gaming is such a synonymous thing, it's so big and it's so pervasive now, and being the biggest entertainment medium in the world, you get these influx of people that start to fester. Exactly, these posers, who come in and just cannot stand not being a part of it or not being disruptive in the things that they know you love, and using their writing creativity or whatever they have at their disposal to disrupt this thing that other people love so much, and
So
that's the scary danger of it.
again, I'm gonna say it because I've always said it, and if people don't like that, sue you. Um, Gaming going mainstream is the biggest mistake of all time. That I will die on that hill. I will repeat it. Gaming going mainstream is one of the it's the worst thing that ever happened to gaming. Period.
It sucks,
There is
man.
no but or it about it.
Yeah, that's what,
Uh,
and that's why I said this goes for lots of things, right? For the record, as we're getting into this about how all these people can affect these things, um, saying they have creativity is going too far. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, creative enough to, I guess, have a splash page and somewhere to write, I guess, because that's all you need evidently now to affect the mind for hell. You don't even need that nowadays. Apparently, all you need is a Twitter account or a TikTok. Um, but I don't know, man. It's sad at the same time.
it's not.
But this happens to everything. Everything that gets big, everything that grows, and you get these people who just can't do it, or and is the same thing. This is a big thing for anime and gaming is very synonymous with each other, right? One of the things that personally I've seen that I hate all the time is when people come into anime. And this is why I love to
Oh
personally
yeah.
introduce
What's
people.
his name? What they say? I know what you're talking about. Demon Slayer. It speak pick anime fiction
Oh yeah, exactly.
or My Hero Academia is pick anime fiction
Exactly.
or
Again,
Attack on
people,
Titan pick anime fiction.
but people who don't know, and then they get wrapped up in these 1, 2, or 3 animes or whatever, and then they want to jump in with the A team, and it's like, no, there's levels to this shit. Like, your resume ain't long enough. You know what I'm saying? To have this conversation.
You don't have
I
enough experience.
Yeah. So you get these people who are writing like that person, who her gaming resume is, like when I was 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? And that's where she's at, and that's okay. People think
Nah,
that we're saying that's not
nah,
okay. It's okay.
you're disrespecting your 6-year-old self. Come on.
Yeah, my resume was probably longer than hers at 6 years old already. Um,
Exactly.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, you get these people who want to come in and affect these things in these cultures. And like I said, like, the reason I said you only need a TikTok, right, is because there's one of the things that we always talk about is everybody focuses on the negative things in these spaces, right? In these journalisms or TikToks or whatever. Something went viral, right? So I saw something came across my Twitter the other day, and the guy said, women make great anime, right? Never in my life have I sat here and was like, women can't make anime. Nor have I ever heard anyone say that. Ever. That
Oh yeah,
that
I seen that tweet. Yeah.
that tweet had like almost 200K likes, right? It's reverse clout chasing though. And the reason I say that and it annoys me is because it's simply no one said that. One person on a TikTok video apparently said they thought women couldn't make good anime. One person. That's what that whole tweet was about. It went ape shit. But none of us in here have ever literally sat there at any time in our point of lives. I am confident in this statement and heard somebody say women can't make good anime. That is not a thing. No one said that. Like, exactly, James. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you get these people who come in and say these extreme things, but the problem is sometimes the devs are stupid enough to listen to that one person, like, and then they start implementing this shit, and you're like, what are you doing? Wasting time fucking with this game and making all these unnecessary features. You know what I'm saying? And then we start to suffer for it. And
Which
the
is
same
why
thing.
I believe Disney and mainstream killed Kingdom Hearts for me.
I mean, definitely could have. I can't speak on that because I still got to play through the
They
entire franchise.
they fucked 3 up so imagine this, and to paint it a picture, every single Kingdom Heart had a difficult boss fight at the end. With 1, 2, it had Sephiroth. It's not a difficult boss fight, but more like it's an optional boss fight you can do. And 3, optional boss fight was so easy. I was literally beating him without even realizing this is a difficult boss and you need to beat. And with the introduction um, of the attraction, which is basically its biggest excitement and at the same time its biggest flaw, it literally killed the game strength, which is basically the game was basically easy, literally
Yeah, I heard that.
journalist mode.
I heard that. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue that. Um, and again, like you said, like they wanted to. I think they did come out with something saying, like the audience that they wanted to be able to play it and this and that. So yeah, you definitely can't argue that it didn't affect it when it clearly did.
It clearly
But
did.
again, you run into stuff like that, and like I said, it goes back and forth between those two. I go back and forth between these two because they're so synonymous with each other, gaming and anime. But like anime has gotten even more popular now. It's
Oh
gotten
yeah.
to the point where that mainstream, because it's all over Netflix and all over these streaming services now, and a ton of people have gotten deeper and deeper into it. And like ultimately, I'm like, look, like you can like what you want to like, right? That's cool. Um, but just like gaming, there are levels to this shit, and you don't gotta play nothing you don't want to play, just like you ain't gotta watch nothing you don't want to watch. But people just can't leave well enough alone and let people enjoy the things that they like. What I mean by that is not saying that you don't like something, because I don't like that either. Criticism is perfectly welcome. Criticize all you want. Have a field day. You know, constructive criticism is wonderful. You know, you can really get some shit done with that. But if you honestly just don't like something, just admit it. I don't like the Soul series. Never liked that shit. Ever. I'm not going to nobody's DMs. I'm not arguing with nobody on Twitter talking about every time I see a post about Dark Souls and how much they love it. Look, I don't give a fuck. Like, long as you
Oh,
ain't on my post,
so you tell me
fucking with my games.
you're not on Twitter 24/7. Every single person that says The Last of Us 2 is an amazing game, you're out there saying, "Oh, it sucks." You're not
Nope.
doing that with the Soul franchise.
Nah.
Shocking.
Nah. Too busy for that shit.
It's almost. I'm not sure about that. That you have a life. Almost.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost. Um, as much as I wanna have to continue the conversation, I'm gonna get you and Gold's final statement, and
Mm-hmm.
we're out of here. Cause if it's up to me, I will continue the conversation. But I'm pretty sure you need to leave. You need to
Yeah,
sleep.
go for it.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on everything we discussed? And do you agree
On
that gaming
everything.
going mainstream was the ever happened to gaming?
Well, it was inevitable, but yeah, I mean, it is. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing that happened, but I would say it's clearly the one of the biggest contributors why we have these conversations, why we see these brain dead suggestions. Okay, well, why don't we make games where we don't have to play the games? I mean, yeah, totally bullshit. Don't talk to me about anime because yes, I've had these conversations with people who every single next new thing that looks amazing is suddenly the best anime ever, and they're forgetting the classics. I mean, look, I've watched all the anime before we went with CG and digital animations, hand drawn animations. I'll die on that hill that that's was the best animation we ever had. But
Which one? No, no. Animation, yeah, no. When it comes to Demon Slayer, it got one of the best, if not the best animation out there. Like other
no, no,
studios
no.
need to
I
step it up.
yeah, that's fine that you think that, but traditional hand drawn animation is still the best animation ever.
I feel you.
Okay. And when it comes to gaming, is gaming going mainstream a mistake?
It's a thing. It's not. It happened. It was inevitable. It's not a mistake. It's just that it is an explanation why we have all these brain dead people having opinions about gaming because yeah, they started yesterday, sometimes quite literally.
Yes. Yes, literally. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't show up in the space and act like you can have a conversation at an equal level with people who have been gaming since NES. You
You're
can't.
not. You're not. Yeah, I'm not even
We
gonna give you
not.
the. I'm not even gonna give you the mic. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah.
when I talk with Ghost, when I talk with you, when I talk with V, I feel that we have experienced OG gaming. We know how OG gaming was, which is why I never heard any view statement that Elden Ring is the best thing ever since sliced of bread.
Nah, we know better than that.
Ghost, anything you want to add?
No, man, I kind of agree totally. I mean, I think that, like I said in the past, gaming used to be, being a gamer used to be a stigma, and over the years, things have evolved as everything does. But at the same token, now that it is mainstream, now that you have, you know, world championships gaming, and now you have YouTube and Twitch and all these other outlets that will cover gaming, and the New York Times and Bloomberg and Forbes and Vanity Fair and everything else covering gaming. Now you have this huge influx of just people that are not gamers but are here for clicks, are here for likes, or here for for clout. It's saturated this gaming market, and that's the reason why games as a service games and subscription based games are succeeding. And that's just the evolution of it. It sucks because it's the trajectory. Profits keep going up, but the
Can we
trajectory of quality in
can we not
games,
stop it
I
from
think,
happening?
no, we're too far gone. It's too much money. Like what's like, when the in 2008 when the housing market and the automotive industry went to shit, it's too big to fail. It's too big.
It, okay. And anything else you want to add? Sorry for interrupting.
No, man, just like I said, I'm Ghost in the Shell 55. You catch me tomorrow at 11 o'clock or 11:30 at Ghost in the Shell or Ghost in the Garage Gaming, and thank you. I mean, this was awesome. We had some great topics, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, before you leave, Weeb, do you have anything else to do tomorrow? Oh, he is AFK. Okay. Because I'm thinking maybe he can join us tomorrow as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because
Of course.
la-
I try to invite Nate. Nate's always busy. He don't ever want to show up.
Nah,
Nate
I
is
saw,
busy.
I saw y'all adding me the other week or whatever, but I didn't even know what was happening at the time.
Yeah.
I'm not as advanced to have Discord. I'm not fancy like that. You know what I'm saying? So I host it on the PlayStation Network, and it's just we get in there and we chop it up and talk games and and have a great time.
So
Yeah, man,
someone that
send out the message, and you know what I'm saying. If I'm around, I come through. I should be.
so
Cool, cool,
someone
cool.
that said that the Ascent on PlayStation is perfect, is amazing. So we should be able to play it co-op. Me, you, and maybe Nate, and maybe Weeb.
Oh yeah,
A four
definitely not an
player.
8.
Yeah, I'm here. My internet was giving me issues.
Hey, you're alive. So you wanna join tomorrow? Ghost in the
Join what?
Shell? Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Garage Gaming podcast.
Oh, sure.
Nice. So see, with that being
Yeah,
said,
but for the record,
you just got
definitely
yourself
not an 8 on the Ascent.
you just got yourself a co-host.
Cool.
Yeah, I beat that game. That was enough for me.
Oh, so you played it and you're not a fan of the Ascent?
No, I don't like that game at all.
Oh, okay. Maybe with a dual set and a team of actual players, you can have fun. Okay, okay.
Nah,
Great.
well, I mean, but other than the game being a buggy mess when I played it, like,
Yeah, but apparently on PlayStation it worked fine.
no, I get that, but that's what I'm saying. That's besides the point. The game was still just boring for me.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Great show. I don't normally don't ask for this, but if you enjoy the show, feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. I'm new to this, but as you can see, I'm passionate. I am not in it for the money or for the fame. I just love gaming, and I would never lie to any of you on purpose. If I spread misinformation, I have more than one person to call me out on it, which Nate have done a few times. And I rely on people
You
like that
mean
because I don't
you're
know
not
all.
here for the clicks and the do-it-yourself e-girl starter kit for your.
Nah, if that time when I start doing shit for clicks, all of you feel free to leave, and I'm pretty sure all of you would leave. I
Okay,
Nah.
don't like,
I will
I
leave
don't need
when
that.
you turn into an e-girl.
I don't, I, at, I like that shit that people say on Twitter is one thing, but people genuinely don't care about gaming anymore. Like I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even want to start the podcast right now because I'm enjoying Ghostwire Tokyo so much. But once you started, you're having great conversation, great people, and great chat. And see you all next week, which is gonna be a shit show. Because apparently, what is all? Spartacus is apparently going to be debuting, and um, if it is like Game Pass, which apparently it's not, but even so, I'm expecting price hike and so on. So I'm not a fan of it already.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of everything I'm hearing so far, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
exactly. We will see. Hey, Ghost. Thank you for showing up. Any where people can find you?
Uh, you know, PSN and everything innate, um, or on Twitter at the real innate. Um, that's it. Keep it gaming, keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And y'all wish me luck. I got a new job interview coming up Monday, so hopefully your boy
Yeah, man. Best of luck.
Good
appreciate
luck.
it, man.
You're gonna nail it. Weeb, where people can find you?
Why does he gonna need it? He got this. Come on.
I appreciate that, we.
All right. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter.
All right.
It's the Weeb Sheriff or at Infinite Rhizome and on YouTube as Blue Rhizome. And yeah, Other Nation.
Great show, everyone, and shout out to the ladies. They couldn't make it, but hey, they have a life. And shout out to Rick. He also couldn't make it. And we're out of here. Later, everyone.